Okay. I thunk and thinky thuku thuku that we alive.
I did it. You did a thinky poo.
I did a thinky poo. Did I get a text message? Can you not hear me? I'm gonna ignore that guy. That guy's a dick. Hello, horror fans, and welcome back to another horror drunk creepy stories time. Tricomy's back with us again to offer his velvety pipeness into the story, not into the story element, so he can voice act for us. We're gonna get him professionally trained. He's gonna be in the next what is it, Sentai Works anime next, because we're gonna be working him in there. He's gonna be right up there with Christopher Sabat for his voice acting.
Hi. I do 5 voices. They're all Vegeta.
Legend, okay? Legend.
They're all Vegeta and Piccolo.
That's all.
I just sound angry.
That's all he needs, bro. Yeah, it's Vegeta, Piccolo. They sound almost exactly the same, but you know what? It worked.
Gohan.
Right. Perfect. Beautiful. Wonderful. Today's video story we're going to be reading about is called My Wife Has Been Peeking at Me from Around Corners and Behind Furniture. It's gone from weird to terrifying. The author for the story is Malia Girl 1314. If you enjoy the story, please check out her other work. We located this on the Reddit, the subreddit No Sleep, and was posted about 3 years ago. Tricomy, has your wife ever done anything that's been like creepy? Like, she ever creeped you out in a way? Like, from something she's done?
You do know she's listening, right? Like,
this is a safe space. You can speak.
This is not safe. I have to. Once I leave this room, I'm in trouble.
No. You're fine. You're fine. Somebody get his address. Send the cops.
She might be peeking through the door right now. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I can't really say she's ever done anything like uber creepy. There have been things where I just looked at her and went, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. I think my wife tried to be scary one time. I think there was the time like after Paranormal Activity came out, and she thought she'd be creepy in the living room, and she's honestly just adorable. So like every time she's tried to be creepy, I'm like, "What are you doing, silly?" So like it's never been one of those things like, "Be gone, Lucifer." No, it's never happened. So
I can honestly say she's never sat and peeked at me from around corners, like watched me. It's kind of.
I don't know if I'd be.
That's unnerving.
I don't know if I'd be creeped out by that. So I find it my own personal, thing to be as creepy to my wife as possible. So like she doesn't like to be watched while she eats, so I purposely just stare at her while she eats. Sometimes like stop it, like, whatever. If I'm not being creepy, I'm doing something wrong.
I'm not gonna lie. If she's gonna sit and stare at me, I'm gonna give her something to stare at. Like,
this is true. Yeah, without a doubt. So, all right. So yeah, we've never been creeped out by our significant others. I mean, like I said, like mine just she just strikes me as adorable. So it's never been one of those things where it's like, I need you to leave the room because whatever you're doing is wrong. So let's see how scary a wife could be. Because I mean, there's different things. I will say her ability to sit there and like turn into a full Karen whenever we're dealing with something is a little unnerving. But I want to go with creepy. Definitely not terrifying, but I'm sure she scares some people. Let's start. Oh God, there we go. My wife Lynn and I have been together for 6 years and married for 11 months. Our entire history together has been very normal, and never once have I noticed any weird behaviors or red flags. I can't stress enough how out of character this whole thing was for her. Lynn is very kind, intelligent, and thoughtful. She's always been the no-nonsense type of person. Being childish or trying to scare me is not something she'd normally do. She doesn't even like watching horror movies. I don't think my wife has never liked watching horror movies, but yeah. Doesn't even like watching horror movies. When we first started dating, she agreed to watch The Shining with me because she knew how much I loved horror. She was so scared that she didn't even make it through half the movie before we had to turn it off. She isn't into anything creepy and has never been into pranks. It's just not her cup of tea. And that's fine. But that's what was so strange about this. It was just so unlike her. I should also add that she never had any mental health issues, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't run in her family. I know some people are able to hide their mental health problems, but in the 6 years we've been together, I think I have seen some sort of sign. Yeah, I feel like you'd be in the safe after 6 years. If for some reason you found something after like, a year or so, like I could probably hide something for a year, but 6 years is quite a bit. 2 months ago, I was in the kitchen making myself some coffee before work. I was running a bit late that morning and knew I wouldn't be able to make it to Dunkin' Donuts for my usual morning fix. I took a sip of my coffee. What?
Gross.
Coffee or Dunkin' Donuts?
Dunkin' Donuts. No, coffee's amazing.
No, you're still wrong. Coffee's disgusting.
You look.
Still can't stand coffee to this day.
You'll get saved one day. It's okay.
No, you can baptize me in the blood of Nos and Red Bull, because you know what? I just never had a taste for that bitter piece of shit.
Brother, I'll see you at the altar on Sunday. Okay?
Sorry, coffee drinkers. You're literally drinking like warm dirt water, and it's disgusting. So, 34 years old, never once enjoyed a cup of coffee. Ugh.
That sounds like a me problem.
It definitely is a me problem, but at the same time, I'm gonna die on that hill. I'm gonna die on that hill.
Very small hill.
Fits me. I'll be fine.
It's a coffee-filled hill.
Just a coffee filter. Oh, God. I took a sip of my coffee as I hurried down the hall towards the front door, when I happened to notice Lynn peeking at me from around the corner ahead of me. I could only see her eyes and a strand of her long, dark hair hanging against the wall. The rest of her body was concealed behind the corner. I nearly spilled my coffee when I saw her. It did burn the shit out of my lips. Oh, I did burn the... what? Ouch. Go.
Jeez, Lynn.
I said, wiping a few drops of coffee from my pants.
You scared the shit out of me.
She immediately popped out of view like a little kid that had been caught. I heard her scurry off toward the living room, and by the time I got to the front door, she was out of sight. A little scurry. It just sounds adorable! Nothing wrong with this.
She's scurrying.
A little scurry, a little scamp. Get out of here. It was really weird and just totally out of character for her. Like I said, but I also found it kind of funny that she was being more playful and a little less serious. I shouted that I loved her and called her a weirdo. As I shut the door behind me, I heard her laughing. Yeah, I mean, that sounds playful. Her behavior was a bit odd, but it certainly wasn't something to call a priest over. I forgot about it by lunch, and by the time I got home, she was her normal self. I didn't bring it up, and neither did she. And life went on. The next incident happened 3 days later. It was around 2 a.m. and I had woken up to get a drink. I was standing at the kitchen island, jug of OJ in hand, when I felt a strong feeling that I was being watched. For whatever reason, I looked down at the floor and saw my wife's smiling face staring back. At the floor? Alright, we're getting a little unnerving here. She was peeking at me from the other side of the island, staring up at me with wide, unblinking eyes and grinning. Grinning like the Cheshire Cat. I will say that the Cheshire Cat scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
No, I did it. Now you're gonna ruin it for me.
No.
Scream again.
One more, please.
No.
With gusto. With gusto.
All right, director, take two.
It didn't register.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing else for you.
I mean, let me see if I can. We'll put it in post. We'll put it in post. I screamed. I'll admit it, not out of irritation, but fear. For some reason, at that moment, I was scared. At the sound of my scream, Lynn scuttled backwards out of my view. Her hands and feet smacking the tile floor as she hurried out of the kitchen on all fours. I didn't run after her or even yell after her. I just stood there, frozen in shock, wondering what the fuck had possessed her to do that. It took me a little longer than I'd like to admit to go back upstairs, but I eventually did. When I got to our bedroom, Lynn was lying on her side, asleep, or at least pretending to be. I stood there for a while, watching her breathing to be sure she was really asleep. I had the feeling she might jump out at me the moment I got into bed, but she didn't. I climbed into bed, and she didn't even move. Her breathing was soft and deep, and I was starting to wonder if I had dreamt the whole thing. The next morning, I waited for her to come down for coffee, and after handing her a mug and kissing her cheek, I decided to ask her about it.
What was that about last night?
keeping my tone light so I didn't offend or embarrass her. She frowned over her cup of coffee, shaking her head like she had no clue what I was referring to.
You were peeking at me again, from over there.
I said, pointing to the spot on the floor by the kitchen island. She followed my gaze, and when she looked back at me, she burst out laughing. She laughed so hard that I couldn't help but join her.
You creep me the fuck out sometimes, you know that?
She giggled and set her cup on the counter, and I wrapped her arms around my neck. I wrapped her arms around my neck? Never mind.
That's what it says.
Okay.
You creep me out all the time, so I guess we're even.
We said our goodbyes and left for work. As I drove, I kept thinking about how creepy it had been seeing her grinning at me from behind the island, like that. The sounds her hands made on the floor as she crawled away. I told myself she was just trying to be silly, just trying to join me in my love of all things horror. It's not like I was afraid of her, but it still didn't sit right with me. I started seeing her peeking at me more and more. Sometimes she'd be peeking out from behind a couch or a living room curtains. Once she even managed to get inside her grandmother's old trunk that sits in the foot of our bed. Fuck. I might not even known she was there at all had the trunk's old hinges not giving her away.
That's sad on it.
just lock her in like you made your bed, Lynn.
That solves that problem.
Yeah, right? Like, you know what? This ain't a problem anymore. She's definitely not going to sit there and do this again.
You stand there and think about what you've done.
You're grounded. It's terrible. I mean, but yeah, she's being creepy. So, like, I just kind of wonder, like, why? Like, she's not giving us any, like, talk about, like, why she's doing it. It's just creepy. All right. She'd had the lid propped up just enough so that only half her face peeked through. She'd been grinning like an excited toddler. It was unnerving. I didn't even know what to say to her. All I could do was stare. When I finally found my voice, I asked her why on earth she was doing this. She didn't answer, but she had slowly closed the lid, shutting herself inside the trunk. I just walked away feeling disturbed. Oh no, did she just like slowly closes the What?
Freaking penguin from Madagascar. You didn't see it.
Jayon, welcome in, bro. We did do it. I enjoy the Terrence and Phillipness that is Tricomy. Mwah. Chef's kiss on the world of his face. I love it. All right, yeah. So she's being creepy as shit. Like, I didn't understand why she was doing it, but it clearly made her happy. I just hoped she would tire of the game quickly. Yeah, for real though. Lynn didn't peek at me for the next 2 weeks. I started to think she was done with her weird prank, and I was relieved. We were watching a show on Netflix one night, and I jokingly said that I hadn't seen her peeking at me lately, and that she must have given up on her spy game. She looked up at me with a small smile and said,
Maybe I've just gotten better at it.
I didn't say anything, but I wondered whether or not she was joking. Yeah, that's kind of unnerving. Like, you're already kind of creeped out, and it's like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Maybe you're not doing that anymore. Like, no, she's definitely doing it.
No, I am.
Right? Oh, God. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what she'd said. Was she still peeking at me when I wasn't looking, and I just hadn't noticed? And if so, what the hell was she getting out of this? I started to feel paranoid, consistently checking whether she was watching from the other corner or behind a door. I was jumpy whenever I was home and she wasn't in full view of me. I felt stupid and a little crazy. But after a few weeks without another incident, I began to relax. I stopped checking behind furniture and walls and told myself it was just a bad memory. Then a few days ago, things got so much worse. Lynn left to go to a friend's, and I lounged on the couch and played a couple games on my laptop. Around 9 p.m., I hopped in the shower, and as I was washing the soap from my hair, I felt that awful feeling that I was being watched. I slowly opened my eyes and almost had a fucking heart attack. Lynn was peeking from behind the shower curtain, her entire head stretched into the shower. leaving just her body outside. Her long dark hair hung against the curtain, the ends dripping with water. Her mouth hung open in a terrible grin, eyes wide and red, as if she hadn't blinked in a while. I screamed and jumped back against the wall. She didn't move, nor did her smile waver. Her makeup ran down her cheeks in 2 black streaks. She looked giddy and completely deranged. I was fucking terrified. I'm honestly getting like a chill right now. Like, it's kind of creepy.
I would be gone. Dick would probably get hit.
Oh,
like, I didn't know it was you. You're supposed to be gone.
Oh, right? Oh, no, dude. Whew. We stood like that for a few moments, neither of us saying a word. Finally, after what felt like forever, she slowly pulled her head back out of the shower, and I watched her blurry figure through the curtain as she moved backwards towards the bathroom door. A second later, the bathroom door slammed shut, hard enough to rattle the mirror. I screamed again and jumped out of the shower to lock the door. I stayed inside the bathroom for an hour. Maybe I overreacted to some of you, but joke or not, I wasn't going to put up with this crazy shit anymore. Damn right. That's what I kept telling myself as I paced my bathroom, stopping to listen at the door every few minutes. You're just pacing in the bathroom?
Hey, I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm gonna walk around this bathroom 100 times.
That's some beta male shit right there, bro. Like, what the hell? This tiny woman isn't gonna get it over on me. I'll get out of here when I feel like it. Come on, dude. Ugh. Suddenly I heard a muffled sound, and I pressed my ear against the bathroom door, straining to listen. I couldn't hear anything, but I envisioned Lynn standing on the other side of the door, giggling at her joke. I felt a surge of anger. I was beyond pissed at being made to feel scared in my own house, and made to hide in the bathroom for an hour? All for what? Some joke? If it was a joke, it was an awful one. An hour? You're in your bathroom for an hour, bro? Come on.
Wow.
It's your part.
All right. What the fuck, Lynn? This shit is getting really fucking annoying.
I waited for her to apologize or to call me a jerk, but instead I heard a faint moan. So quiet, I wondered if I heard it at all. And then complete silence.
Lynn?
I called out, not able to even hide the shakiness in my voice. I got no response, just my own heavy breathing.
I swear, just fucking stop it.
I yelled, pounding my fist on the door. I waited for her to cuss me out, something I would expect from me talking to her like that. I never screamed at her before. But there was nothing, just the occasional drip from the shower head. I won't deny that I was scared, too afraid to open the damn door and face my own wife. I waited for another 30 minutes. Bro, get out of the bathroom! For another 30 minutes or so, which feel like a fucking lifetime when you're scared. Hour and 30 minutes in your bathroom. Bro, I don't spend that much time in my bathroom now. My God. Finally, I decided I wasn't going to spend the night hiding in my own bathroom. So I got down on my knees and peered under the door. I almost expected to see her face peeking back at me. Thankfully, I didn't. What's up?
It's just freaking... I'm not going to spend the whole night in my bathroom. Bro, you've already spent an hour and a half in there. Why not?
Right. And then he's gonna peek under the door. Like,
right. Grab some towels, freaking make a bed. Like, you're good. Stay in the bathroom all night.
Just double down. Just be like, I ain't leaving. I got my throne. There's water here. I don't need to leave.
There's water. I have the necessities.
What more will I need? That's terrible. Yeah, just double down. If this happens to you, double down, okay? Don't you dare leave that bathroom.
Fucking peek under the door. Is there anybody out there?
Honestly though, if you looked down there and saw her face, like I think I'd be a little fucking unnerved. Like that'd be
I'd pee myself.
Good thing you're in the bathroom.
Right.
Alright. I could see straight down the hallway to the top of the stairs, but no Lynn. I didn't know if I should be happy about that. I looked for a few minutes waiting to see her head pop up over the top step, but it never came. I stood up, my hand hovering over the door, and mentally prepared myself to open it. I slowly turned the lock with shaky fingers and was about to yank it open when I heard the sound that still makes me feel nauseous when I think about it. A moan, louder than before. But this time I was able to tell just where it was coming from. I turned my head to the closet door as if in slow motion, and locked eyes with my wife, who was peeking at me from the slight gap. She's still in the bathroom. Her eyes were still as wide as ever, and her mouth was hanging open in the most grotesque, gaping smile I'd ever seen. I didn't even scream. I was too scared for even that. Her hands were clasped to her chest, body trembling with sheer delight, as if she could barely contain her excitement. A short, raspy moan bubbled up from her throat, deep and raw, sending a shiver through my entire body. It's pretty creepy. Somehow I found the ability to pull the bathroom door open and ran as fast as I could all the way down those steps, snagging my keys and phone from the table in the living room, before running outside to my car. I could hear her shrill laughter behind me, but I didn't hear her getting closer. I didn't bother shutting the front door. I drove away from the house faster than I legally should have, shivering the entire time, either from the fear or the cold, maybe a little bit of both. I hadn't grabbed a coat or even a pair of shoes. I was still in my boxers and my hair was still damp. You've been in the bathroom for an hour and a half. Your hair is not damp. Jeez.
I want to know why he didn't just uppercut her. Like at that point, it's like, hey, you're not my wife.
Again, creepy, super creepy. My only nagging question in the back of my mind is like, you were in the bathroom for an hour and a half. You didn't bring a towel. You just sat there, still wet in your boxers. Like, you weren't just like, I'm gonna dry my hair while I walk around thinking about how I'm gonna uppercut my wife. No, you're just gonna sit there.
And let's be clear, if his hair's still wet, like, I mean, how long is this hair we're talking about?
It's obviously my length. It's got like, he's got some curls to it. All right, you know, he's definitely, he's rocking the locks. All right.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I hate it when my hair's damp.
I bet you do. I bet you do. Oh man, all the eight seconds until a cold wind dries it.
But I mean, seriously, at this point, like, first off, how big is this girl? Like, she can't be that big.
That's where my point comes from, too.
And second off, like, at what point, like, do you not just, again, I said it before, you just pick her up, put her on the front porch, and close the door? Like, we're done with this game.
Like, pull an old Flintstones, like, when you put her outside.
Right. Put her on the front porch, close and lock the door, and be like, you're staying out there until you knock this off.
No, you're coming back here. Grounded.
Right.
Just put a
back in the trunk.
Like a little lost kitten box, just stick her in there and fucking just put her on the porch. Free to good home. Scratch out the good part real quick.
Free to home. Anybody can take her.
I'm done with her. I've had enough. Here you go. Yeah, no, it just it's the fact that it's been going on for this long too. Like, this is what, like, probably like at least a few weeks, if not like a month at this point, that she's been doing this creepy shit. And like, I think he's kind of like said something like, hey, like, I'm not really, this isn't cool, like, please kind of don't do this anymore, it's creepy. And she's still kind of doing it. Or I hope he would have said this something like that. He hasn't really said, has he, if he's fucking told her not to do it anymore.
No, not yet.
Whatever. She officially scared him out of the house. So if you ever, ladies, if you ever want to get your man out of the house, just stare at him for fucking hours on end, and eventually he's gonna leave.
Especially if he does the locking himself in the bathroom.
If you have yourself a man who's gonna lock himself in the bathroom for an hour and a half, just keep staring at him. He's gonna go. Just keep staring at him. My gosh. All right. I drove straight to my brother Chris's house, about 40 minutes away, ignoring any and every call and text I got. I didn't check my phone until I was safely parked at my brother's driveway. Lynn had called 4 times and sent a flurry of texts, all wondering where I'd gone and why I left like that. I threw my phone at the dash in rage, furious at her nonchalant attitude. My brother and his wife were surprised to see me, especially dressed in just a pair of boxers, but told me to stay as long as I needed. Chris lent me some clothes and asked me what happened. I told him Lynn and I had a fight, but didn't get into the details. I didn't want him to think I was overreacting, leaving my wife over a prank, even if it was a strange one. I mean, hadn't I encouraged her for years to lighten up instead of being so serious all the time? I had wanted her to relax and loosen up, but this was definitely not what I had in mind. I tried to
Wait.
What's up?
He threw his phone in rage.
Yes. At the dash.
At the dash.
Yeah.
What's he mad about?
That he left, I guess. I'm assuming he's...
I had to leave my house.
He's just...
No, you didn't. You could have just stayed there and told her to knock it the fuck off.
I'm so mad. Lynn kicked me out of my own house. She looked at me weird and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I just had to get out of here.
She sent me texts and I threw my phone at the dash. I need a new phone.
You don't understand, Chris. She stared at me for so long. I had to leave.
I put my brother on the front porch. Like, you go home.
That's why he's not. It's that beta male shit, bro. He's like, he ain't saying nothing. He's like, no.
Chris can go set him in his car and be like, you go home now.
We had a fight. What happened? I don't want to tell you.
You make fun of me.
You're gonna make fun of me.
You'll tell me to go home.
Oh man,
right now.
She is being creepy though. Like the whole bathroom scene. The bathroom scene was creepy. Like, I don't know if I'd really be I mean, I don't know.
It depends on how long her neck was. Like, like the way they made it sound like she overextended her neck to get into the freaking shower. So I mean, if we're talking like her neck like grew like 3 feet, that might like scare me. But like just having her head in, like, hey,
I think
she'd have probably got hit.
It's just that uncanny valley thing. I think that's what it is. Like there's that constant smile, the fact that she's not fucking stopping to blink and just staring like continuously. It's that uncanniness of like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? That's like, that I think is probably what's really getting him. Because like at this point, like it just seems like she's like possessed or something. Like something's got a hold of her that's just making something happen. You know, go back to my skinwalker theory from the last video. Like she's been skinwalkered.
Yeah.
All right. We're back at Chris's house. Did we finish that one? Let me see.
Try to sleep.
Yes. They didn't mean to do that. All right, here we go. I tried to sleep on their couch, on their sofa, but my brain wouldn't let me sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lynn's face staring at me from inside the closet. Knowing she'd been in there with me the entire time made my skin crawl. She'd never left the fucking bathroom at all. Instead, she slipped inside the closet and slammed the bathroom door to fool me. The mere thought of going back home gave me anxiety. I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Chris ended up giving me a sleeping pill, so I was able to get a little rest. My sleep was filled with terrible dreams, all of Lynn's smiling face. I woke up just as the sun started to rise. My sore body ached from the sofa, and I felt drained. I know I'd have to call Lynn at some point, but I didn't know what to say to her. I wouldn't be going home unless she gave me a word that she'd never do anything creepy again. I just wanted my wife back. Her normal, serious self never looked so good to me. I was contemplating calling her and telling her that when that familiar feeling came over me. I was being watched. I was staring at the ceiling, my heart in my throat. I didn't want to look away, but the longer I ignored the feeling, the worse it got. My eyes drifted away from the ceiling, almost on their own. Her face was pressed up against the window beside the couch, staring down at me with that same gaping smile. Drool dribbled down her lips, leaving 2 loose streaks down the glass. I didn't know how long she'd been there, but something told me she'd been there quite a while, possibly all night. I didn't bother screaming, though I was afraid. Anger trumped any fear that I felt in that moment. I jumped up from the couch and pounded my palm against the glass.
Lynn, are you crazy? What the hell is wrong with you? Just go home! Now!
She didn't move, and her ghastly expression never changed. If anything, her smile only grew, as if she'd never been more elated. I couldn't hear Chris and his wife moving around upstairs, I could hear Chris and his wife moving around upstairs, as if Lynn could hear them from her place outside. Her head twitched slightly in their direction, and she began to close her mouth slowly. Chris called my name from upstairs, obviously concerned. I turned to see him and his wife Rebecca hurrying down the steps. When I turned back to the window, Lynn was gone. The only sign she'd been there at all was 2 streaks of drool still dripping down the glass. That's creepy. That's fucking terrifying imagery. Jesus. Oh my. I tried to explain to Chris and Rebecca about waking up to see Lynn watching me through their window. They were skeptical. Who wouldn't be? Chris and I went outside to the spot in front of the window, but there were no footprints in the dirt, just a slight indent. Animal probably, Chris guessed, and I didn't argue. He and Rebecca assumed I dreamt the entire episode, but they didn't understand, and I was too tired to explain it to them. I called out of work that day and turned my cell off. I didn't want to face Lynn. Just talking to her was too much for me at that point. I really started to believe something was irreversibly wrong with her. That no matter what promise she made, we'd never be the same again. The thought saddened me to my core. I cried most of the morning. By noon, I figured I was ready to confront her. Give her one last chance to explain herself. I could at least give her that after 6 years, I told myself. I turned my phone on and saw the dozens of texts she'd sent, all from seemingly concerned wife.
Can we talk? I love you. Please call me. I'm really worried. Can you answer? Just come home.
And more of the same. All texts telling me she loved me, and she wanted me home. How worried she was. Not a damn one addressing the crazy shit she pulled. Like she hadn't been acting like a character from a Stephen King book. Yeah, she really hasn't talked. Like, he's going on about, well, if we just heard his talk. Like, we've had, 2 lines of dialogue from her at this point before this? Like, she's just been creepy as fuck. Like, just texting is the only thing we heard. So, I don't know what you're going to talk to her about, but she ain't talking, bro. Even her texts weren't different. She normally texts novels just to tell me to pick up a loaf of bread. You'd think she'd have more to say to me after her bizarre shenanigans. I know it probably seems childish to some of you who are miles away from the situation, but if you saw the way Lynn had looked at me, how she scampered away on all fours like some wild animal, grinning at me from inside the closet like a lunatic, then I think you'd find my reaction was warranted. I ended up staying with Chris and Rebecca for another night. I didn't wake up yesterday until afternoon, and thankfully, I didn't see Lynn's face watching me through the window. Yeah, I fucking leave that place.
Right. I don't want to pry, because it's not my place. But is this fight something that can be mended?
She made us both a sandwich for lunch, and I knew she wanted to breach the subject without seeming to be nosy. This is Rebecca. This is the wife of Chris. Oh no, yes.
I don't know. She's like a different person.
I said, choosing my words carefully. I still wasn't ready for her or Chris to know the full extent of the batshit craziness I'd been dealing with.
People change, Ben. But she's still the same woman you married. Maybe you both need to talk through your issues. Whatever's going on, I'm sure it can be fixed.
She said, ever the peacemaker. Peacemaker.
I think it's beyond that now. I don't think talking would help. I just don't trust her.
The words stung in my heart. I missed and loved my wife. But how could I live with someone like that? Living in constant fear didn't sound too appealing.
Lynn loves you. She has to be absolutely crushed. I don't know about that. Well, she certainly seemed like it to me. I've never seen her so upset. Very much unlike the Lynn I know.
Rebecca said, shaking her head sadly. It took a full minute for her words to really sink in, and when they did, I felt dread worming its way through my skin.
Wait, what do you mean you saw her?
Oh.
You saw Lynn?
Oh. She's still at the house. That's creepy. Ugh. Rebecca nodded casually, as if the fact wasn't nightmare fuel. Maybe for her, it wasn't.
She stopped by this morning, just after Chris left for work.
She said, cleaning the plates from the table.
I didn't see her car, though. Maybe she took an Uber or something.
Oh, dude, what if she's just, like, living in the car? Oh, no!
Beck, what did she say? Did she come inside?
I asked, sweat starting to break out on my forehead. I began looking around, examining corners as though a predator lurked behind them.
No, she just asked if you were awake yet, and I said you weren't. I asked if she wanted me to wake you, but she said no, just said to let you sleep.
She said as she washed the dishes.
That's all? You didn't say anything else? No, she looked awful, though, like she hadn't slept in days. I think you should call her.
I got up from the table and thanked Rebecca for lunch. You look like Terrence. He does look like Terrence. No, he's definitely Terrence. I'll be Philip. I felt a little bit better at the knowledge that at least she hadn't come inside. That makes you feel better? Bro, you already saw her outside. All right. Still, I need to double check that the doors were locked. Okay. I sat for a while trying to figure out what to do next. I didn't want to go home, but I felt that I owed it to Lynn to help her if I could. Hadn't I sworn an oath to love and honor her through the sickness and health? Clearly she was very sick. Alright, so you're going from this range of emotion from, did she fucking get in this house? To immediately, you know what? I did make a vow. Like in...
Right.
The roller coaster this dude is going down is insane. Like, what? All right, it's absolutely crazy. If she was sick, which I truly believe she was, I had to try and get her the help she needed. But I didn't even know where to start. I didn't want to call the police, and besides, what the hell was I going to tell them? That my wife was peeking at me? That she was being creepy? As bizarre as she'd been, she still hadn't committed any crime. Not yet, anyway. The police would have probably said that I was overreacting. But this wasn't some prank. It felt wrong. Dangerous, even. Like something sinister lurked behind her smile. Or beneath her smile. I knew as her husband, I was well within my right to have her committed.
Putting this bitch in a nut house.
I mean, bro, honestly, do it. I mean, after this, the scene of her standing against the freaking window, just staring at you like, yeah, you got that white coat? Yeah, come pick her up.
Right.
Like, no. All right.
Most definitely.
All right. I mean, he's being a little more rational now. I can get behind him a little bit on this one. I knew as her husband I was well within my rights to have her committed. But what if she simply acted normal in their presence? She'd obviously been able to fool Rebecca into thinking she was just concerned wife. As long as the doctors didn't find her in danger to herself or others, they'd have no choice but to release her after 72 hours. I felt lost and overwhelmed. Yeah, that's 72 hours of actual sleep you can get, bro. Take it.
Right.
So I did what any husband in my position would do. I called her mother.
Called her mama. Calling your mama.
I didn't want to. Believe me. Her mother, Marion, and I were never on the best of terms. We never fought or anything like that. She just wasn't a very warm person. It wasn't really easy to get along with. She hardly ever smiled, and when she did, only her lips would move into a thin-lipped smile, leaving her eyes as blank as before. She gave off this aura that felt like she was permanently on the offensive. I'd only met her twice, and both times were for such short visits. I got the impression she didn't approve of me for her daughter. They never do. Lynn always ushered us out quickly, as she didn't want me to feel uncomfortable, which I was grateful for. Being in her mother's company felt almost unbearable, like I was walking on glass. I was glad when we moved 3 states away so we didn't have to see her. Often, I was happy to avoid the woman, but I needed her help. I really didn't want to talk to her at all, but I had to talk to someone, and someone who knew Lynn better than I did. So I grit my teeth and did what I had to do.
Yes.
She answered.
Marianne? Marianne? It's me, Ben. Do you have a minute to talk?
I could hear her cluck her tongue in irritation.
I'm in the middle of writing some checks, but if you insist, I suppose I can spare a moment. Oh, wait, I lost it. Give me a second. All right. What is it that you need to discuss, Benjamin?
She said coolly.
It's about Lynn. She's been acting strangely, and I was wondering if you had any idea whether there was something.
I was quickly interrupted.
It's a bit difficult to follow your rambling, Benjamin. What is it that you want from me?
I could almost see her standing there with her thin sweater and slacks, tapping her fingernails impatiently on the table.
I wanted to know if you'd ever noticed any odd behavior, or possibly any mental health issues.
There was a long, uncomfortable pause that I couldn't tell was because she was thinking or something else. Finally, after a few seconds, she spoke.
I'm not sure if this is one of your jokes, Benjamin, but if so, I don't find the humor in it. Now, I do have business to attend to, as I've said, so if you don't mind...
But I cut her off before she could get rid of me.
Marianne, it's not a joke. I'm sincerely concerned about Lynn's mental health. Her behavior has been very erratic lately, and I'm very worried about her, and I figured as her mother, you would be as well.
My frustration evident in my voice.
If you're truly concerned, then I suggest you get... Oh, good grief.
It's hard to...
Having to... Yeah. No, I'm using frickin' my phone to read it, and so, like, I'm trying to blow it up, but it's, keeps moving my position.
Gotcha.
Technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. I suggest you get the mental health professionals involved. I don't know what you expect of me.
I could tell she was seconds away from hanging up, and for some reason, I was desperate not to let her. I had the feeling that she knew a lot more than she was letting on.
Please, if not for me, do it for Lynn.
I heard a faint, shaky intake of breath, as if she were trying to hold her steely persona together, but failing.
Marianne, what's wrong? Benjamin, I don't know what you want me to tell you. My only advice would be to seek professional help. Do not call me again. Goodbye. I
tried to call out to her, but she'd hung up. So she knows something's going on. Like,
oh yeah,
professional help. Like, so she's got to have like a history of like some sort of mental illness. But in 6 years, you haven't noticed any of that? That's kind of insane.
Right.
I tried to wrap my head around the call and her refusal to help me. Even if she didn't like me, why wouldn't she want to help her own daughter? I couldn't understand that. I tried to replay the conversation, desperate to find something I missed. After a while, I almost gave up, until I remembered her last words to me. Seek professional help. She said those words with a bit of urgency. I could have just been grasping at straws, but no. I was sure her voice had changed ever so slightly when she'd said that, as if they were very important. What had she meant? I assumed she'd been referring to medical professionals, but maybe she was referring to someone else. Someone that she didn't, for some reason, feel comfortable saying directly. Or maybe I was just desperate. Someone else? Like a priest? Like what?
Who's the professional? Like,
Right?
what do you know, woman?
Right, I thought she said medical help at first. Health professionals. She did say health professionals. Who are you thinking? He's immediately going like, I gotta call a priest. Like that's what she wants me to do. Like honestly though, you might need to.
Padre!
She's possessed.
Hey, yo, I was wondering if you could throw me down one of them blessings.
Give me some sage to burn up in here. Give me that holy water. That's terrible.
It's so bad.
I waited for Chris to get home, and after a very long and exhausting conversation with him and Rebecca, I convinced them that Lynn truly needed psychiatric help. I didn't tell them everything. I wasn't prepared to go into it yet, but I told them about our last encounter, how she'd hidden in the bathroom, peeking at me from the closet. They were obviously shocked, but thankfully they believed me. They too just wanted to help her. Still, they didn't think it was all that serious. Weird, maybe, but not dangerous. They just kept saying that Lynn had to be playing some kind of weird joke.
Maybe for YouTube?
She offered, if only half-heartedly. Chris didn't think we should involve the police just yet. He offered instead to go with me, and I readily accepted. He reasoned that calmly talking to her, trying to coax her into going willingly, was the best recourse. I agreed to do it his way. At least I wouldn't be going into that house alone. We drove over this morning, just after breakfast. There's no way I was going at night. That's a good idea. Yeah, don't go at night. When we pulled into the driveway, my stomach began doing somersaults. Her car wasn't there, but I still didn't let my guard down. The front door was ajar, and for a split second, I thought we'd see her eyes staring through the gap. I was shaking and starting to sweat. Chris, however, was fine. He waited for me to open the door, his hands in his pockets like he was going on a fucking stroll through the park. I envied his ignorance. I pushed the door open and was immediately hit with the stench of rot. Chris smelled it too, and he walked into the house behind me with his nose scrunched up.
What do you guys use to clean the floors around here? Shit?
I love Chris.
Shut up.
My eyes darting around for any signs of Lynn. You guys used to clean the floors around here. Shit. Like, dude, I mean, honestly though, like, all right, so he's been away 3 days, I think is what we've kind of figured out now. Like, he's only been away for like 3 days. And like, it just stinks horribly in there. Like, what is she literally just like throwing shit on the walls? Like, what the hell's going on? Oh, that's creepy. All right. The house was deadly quiet and dark despite being 10 in the morning. All the curtains were closed up tight, refusing to allow any sunlight inside. If I hadn't left it just 2 days prior, it's been 2 days. 2 days prior, I'd have thought the house had been abandoned. We moved through each room, carefully checking any place that she might have occasionally hid. All right, hold on. We moved through each room, carefully checking any place that she might have hid, occasionally calling her name.
Why the fuck are you looking under the couch? Aren't we here looking for your wife?
He was looking at me like I was a moron.
Let's just go upstairs.
He shook his head, but followed me up the stairs to check the bathroom and spare bedroom. On the way up, my shoes crunched over pieces of glass that looked to be littered over a few of the steps. I noticed that one of Lynn's and mine wedding portraits that hung on the wall along the staircase had been smashed. The frame hung crookedly, all the glass removed. I stared at the picture, a lump forming in my throat. We had taken the photo just after leaving the church, after saying our vows. She looked so beautiful in her white gown. I looked at Lynn's beautiful face. I'd never dreamt her face would ever be the source of terror for me. We climbed the rest of the steps and checked the spare bedroom, but it looked completely untouched. I was hesitant to go into the bathroom, my fear from that night coming back to me all at once. Chris noticed and offered to go in by himself, but I couldn't let him do that. So we walked in together, checked the closet and the shower. The bathroom looked as if it hadn't been touched since the night I left.
Don't think she's here, Ben. Why don't you pack some clothes, and we'll try coming back tomorrow or something.
I nodded and went into our bedroom and shoved some clothes into a duffel bag. When I checked inside our closet, I came across the source of the smell and gagged. Chris took one look and lost all color in his face. He had to go stand by the stairs to get away from the sight and smell. She dead? I gazed down in shock at what lay inside the bedroom closet. Soaking into the rug were at least a dozen eyeballs, all carefully laid out in pairs. Some were as large as a quarter, while others were as tiny as a marble. I stared down at the eyes she'd collected from small animals and wondered how she'd gotten them, and shuddered at the thought. Oh my god.
Man, I thought I had it bad with Becca's shoe addiction, but fuck me, your wife's in here collecting eyeballs.
I love Chris. I love Chris.
Ben, I think we should go.
He called from the hall.
I'm getting nauseous. All right.
just all right.
Just all right.
She's got her eyeball collection in the closet.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, I forgot that she had these downstairs.
Right. I love Chris. I thought it was bad with Beck's shoe addiction. Your wife collects eyeballs? Strange. But we should probably get the fuck out of here. Oh, man. I grabbed my duffel and shut the closet door on my new nightmare. I stepped out into the hall and took a deep breath of air. I could taste the rot in my tongue, and I couldn't help but gag. Oh, that's not the one. There you go.
Who the fuck lines up eyeballs in their closet like that? I tried to tell you she needed help. She doesn't need help, Ben. She needs a fucking exorcist. You coming or what? I can't stand the smell any...
His words died in his throat, and his eyes grew wide with fear. I didn't ask him why. I could feel it. Someone was watching me, and I didn't think it was the eyes in the closet. I turned around, my eyes slowly scanning the bedroom.
Oh, shit.
As I finally saw what we'd missed. Under the bed, curled on her side, watching us with the excitement of a kid on Christmas morning, was my wife. She held her hands together just under her chin, and they were shaking eagerly. Now that she knew she'd been found, I could hear the quiet noises she was making, a sort of hiccuping sound in her throat, as if the excitement was just too much for her. It was unnerving to say the least. Wide eyes and that same huge smile. Everything in me told me to run, but I forced it away. This was my wife. No matter how twisted she was, still the woman I married. I had to help her.
Lynn?
She didn't respond, but her head bobbed back and forth. 2 quick little movements as if she were nodding.
Baby, I just want to help, okay? Can you let me do that?
I had taken a single step forward, approaching her like some kind of dangerous animal.
I love you, Lynn.
I said softly, taking another step closer. She let a tiny moan escape her wide open mouth, and I had to resist the urge to run. Her shoulders were starting to quiver, and her eyes grew as large as saucers. I crouched down so I could see her better, and immediately saw the blood. Her hands were covered in it. They trembled more the closer I got, as if she was barely able to contain herself.
Lynn, are you hurt? You're bleeding.
She bobbed her head again, her bloody fingers moving up and down as if she was playing an invisible piano. They occasionally grazed her chin, leaving smears of blood on her skin. I wanted to recoil in disgust. The smell that was coming off her was revolting. I could feel the vomit trying to climb up my throat. Her lips were dry and stretched thin, blood seeping between the cracks. I knew she wouldn't come out on her own, but I didn't want to leave her in the state she was in. I scooted closer and reached out to her. The excited hiccuping sound got louder, and her hands shook, fingers flexing. It was then that I could see the blood oozing from between her fingers.
Oh my, Lynn, you're bleeding.
Instinctively, I reached out to take her hand, but before I could even touch her, her hand sprang out towards me. A sharp pain shot through my arm, and I fell back on my ass. My arm burned, and I could see the blood dripping down onto the carpet. I looked back in shock and saw her grinning madly, her fingers clutching a large shard of glass.
You alright in there?
God, every time, Chris, man. Oh, it's giving me the shivers hard. All right, I'm locked in. Chris asked behind me. I turned my head slightly and then nodded to him, cradling my arm to my chest. When I turned back to face Lynn, I saw that her focus had shifted. She wasn't looking at me anymore, and she wasn't smiling anymore either. She was staring past me, her eyes glaring at Chris the way a hungry lion might stare at an antelope. Her mouth was still hanging open, but it was twisted into a snarl. I got to my feet and began walking backwards down the hall, afraid to take my eyes off her.
Are you bleeding?
The moment the words left his mouth, Lynn started, fast, scooting out from under the bed, the glass shard still in her fists.
Chris, run! Go!
He must have been too afraid to move because a second later I felt my back bump into him. He was still standing at the top of the stairs, staring at the horror that was my wife. Lynn had crawled completely out from under the bed and stood in the bedroom doorway, her face twisted in rage. Her whole body was visibly tense. Blood ran down her fingers and onto the floor.
Lynn? You, playing hide and seek?
Every time, he just cuts the tension so hard. Chris, you fucking lovable oaf, bro. Every freaking time. Oh, I reached back and pushed him towards the steps.
Move your ass, Chris.
It's quiet. I said as quietly but firmly as I could. Lynn bobbed her head in fast, sharp motions and began to grin, stretching her mouth open wider and wider so that her chin seemed to touch her chest. I heard Chris mutter a prayer, and then he was running down the stairs. I stood at the top of the steps, stuck between the love for a woman who clearly needed serious help and self-preservation.
I only want to help,
I said, choking back tears. Her eyes focused on me once again as she slowly lifted the glass, holding it out in front of her. And then she started sprinting towards me, grinning with utter excitement. Thankfully, my body took over, and I flew down the stairs, skipping 2 or 3 at a time. I made it to the front door before I felt her leap onto my back, wrapping her arms around my neck, her open mouth next to my ear, so that I could hear those terrible hiccuping sounds up close. I shook her off me, knocking her to the floor. I felt a searing pain in my back as she went, but I tore open the front door and bolted to my car. Chris was standing in the front yard, talking on the phone with the police. I didn't say a word. I just ran to my car and jumped in. Chris took the hint and followed me, still on the line with 911. I watched the rear view mirror, sure I'd see her there, running after us, but I never did. I went straight to the ER and got 11 stitches in my arm and 3 on my back. The police asked a lot of questions, and I went back to the house to do a search, but of course, Lynn wasn't there. They advised me to stay with a friend or relative for a while, and to file a restraining order as soon as I could, but none of those things would matter. Somehow I just knew. I dropped Chris off at home and went to a motel an hour away. Why? I mean, I guess, I don't know. She just, knows where he is, though. Why? Ugh. I wanted to put as much distance between me and Lynn as I could. This is where I've been for the last 4 hours. I thought maybe the police would find her. Maybe they'd get her the help she desperately needs. But now I don't think so. Because 40 minutes ago I got a text from an unknown number. Just 3 words.
I found you.
And a picture attached. The picture was dark and grainy, but I instantly knew what it was. There was no mistaking my wife's eye. I started typing this out immediately after. I don't know what to do. I'm alone and scared, and I can't help but feel that I'm being watched. The end, man. Oh! Oh! That one was good, man. That had me going. Like, oh, dude, like, it was kind of, Chris was comedic relief, and honestly, like, if they kind of did without Chris a little bit, I think it'd be like a little bit scarier. Because he definitely, like, every once in a while I'm locked in, he'd throw out a clip like, "You playing hide and seek?"
Dude, Chris was the Wolverine of the group. Like,
oh my!
Like everybody
gosh.
else is kicking butt. Wolverine shows up and they're all staring at me. He's like, "What are you girls looking at?"
Right. Like, eyeball collection, huh? My wife just collects shoes. A little strange, but I guess to each their own, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like, if he literally would have just sat there and been like an inkling more serious, I think it would have been a little bit scarier. But every time it was just like he would just like, man, creepy moment, eyeballs. Let's break the fucking tension.
Hey, Lynn, you playing hide and go seek or something? Who's
it? I love Chris, by the way. Like, that was awesome. Like, it never failed. Every one of his lines never failed to crack me up the whole time. I just couldn't get over that, man. But oh man, the turnaround on her, bro. Like, just like, what, like a couple months of like slowly staring at you, and then like it just amps up to this freaking insane woman hiding under the bed who just massacred a bunch of animals and took their eyeballs. Oh man.
Right.
That got crazy real fast, man. I'm like, I literally got chills reading it. Like, oh. And then I kind of liked the way it ended. I mean, it was okay. I feel like it was wrapped up a little quickly. I would have loved like a second part from like this. If the author had come back and then maybe done another segment where like, yeah, he didn't think like, oh yeah, I'm going to go stay in this hotel. And then it kind of start there again with her like slowly kind of like, you know, getting into the hotel room and then just discovering really what was wrong with her. So we never really kind of got the idea. Like, was it a possession? Was she just mentally insane? It didn't tell us.
Well, you know, and it's crazy because, like, you know, I would have liked a little bit more from Mom, because I get like the whole seek professional help, but like, your mom, like,
yeah.
How do we, like, I need to know what the hell's going on because she's trying to murder me. We have issues.
That was one of those like memory or just writing segments that I thought was gonna go off more of a way, but like it just ended up just, you know, nosediving and there was nothing more based on it, which I really wish, like I said, like the professional help thing, like he kind of like was like, oh well, what does she mean by professional help? Obviously, does she mean take her to the doctor, or is there somebody else specific? And then like that just got memory hold, and like he's like, well, let's go find her, and that was it. Like right. it never went past that, and I kind of wish like they kind of expanded on that a little bit more. Like you could even just kind of make it like, all right, well, we went and saw a priest, and the priest just kind of bring it up as like, oh well, you know, yeah, I helped treat her for her mental illness, because priests do that. I mean, they totally do that. But like, you know, I was never really sure if it was, you know, really what was wrong with her, and then just kind of move it past there, kind of give that supernatural element to it, but never really sacrifice the idea of maybe she's just mentally ill. Like maybe this is just a problem that you didn't see for 6 fucking years, bro.
Right?
Well, wait, so was he married for 6 years, or were they married for like a year? What was that again? I thought they were married for like a year.
I know they've been together forever.
Married for 11 months, been together for 6 years. All right, so I mean, if we take this into the idea of like maybe they've only been living together for 11 months, so that's like less than a year. You never really know somebody until you've lived with somebody for like 2 years. Yeah, that's when you learn all the little nuances. So if we think of this like in a traditional sense, like maybe they never really lived together for that 5 years before that. Like, like they were dating, she lived at mom's and I would pick her up all the time, but we never officially lived together. Then I could kind of see where there was this definite chance that he never got to see the crazy side because maybe mom knows, hey, when she gets a little crazy, like we're going to take her to this professional that we fucking talk about that we never fucking really let the other guy know. But then at the same time, like, how fucked up is mom to like not tell him the actual professional?
Right.
Oh well.
Like, who do I need to go see?
Seek professional. You have to
Where
seek
can I get
professional
medical records?
You have to seek professional help, Benjamin. The professionals know what to do. Seek them.
I need to know where to go look for the records. What did you do to her?
The professionals have it. Go to the professionals.
That woman.
Yeah, I mean, and I can understand like the strain between like mother-in-laws and their son-in-laws, because like, I mean, I still don't think Amber's mom likes me. Like, I did kind of steal her away from her. I think maybe that's how they all feel, but I don't think any mother-in-law really truly loves their son-in-law. Not like you'd hope that they eventually would, but like, I'm married about 15 years now, and I still don't think she likes me that much. So, I could get that, but yeah, it's just, man, good story though. Creepy. I'd say like a 9 out of 10 on the creep factor here. Like, it was definitely, I liked it better than what was the one we did last time? Was there's a doppelganger or something like that of my mom and dad, or my wife and son, not mom and son.
Yeah.
But not my wife and not my son.
I don't know, man. That was something else. Like, but the issue that I had with both these dudes, like, why they wait so long for things? Like, I'm gonna stay in this bathroom for an hour and a half.
I feel like I don't remember who was the author for the last one, but I mean, Malia Girl was 1314 was the author for this one. She did a great job, but I do think that's where we have the whole thing with it, because like from the male perspective, like I'm gonna go check it out, but maybe from the female perspective, like it's a little bit more of a beta male in a way, where it's like, all right, well, maybe I'd go check it out, but really I want to make sure that I'm not terrible. No, this is my house. Like,
right.
Like, I know this is my wife, but like, I'm pretty confident. I'm not exactly gonna take my wife, because that's not where I want to go with this, but like, I could definitely like, subdue her in a way that like I wouldn't be threatened enough to, buy her. And I sure as hell wouldn't sit in the damn place for an hour and a half. I would sit in the bathroom for an hour and a half.
Well, and I get it being scary, but we got two full grown ass men here, and they're afraid of one girl because she's got a shard of glass.
To be fair, she also like ripped a bunch of eyeballs out of a bunch of squirrels and shit. So I mean,
yeah, but that's when you hold her down and then you get help.
Yeah,
because we've already seen that this chick can freaking find you anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. Some people they don't really see, like, they see a weapon and they immediately freak out. And I think it's got to be hinting at the fact that like there's something supernatural going on with her, because I mean, the eyeball thing is one whole thing. I mean, because that's the whole premise of like she's been staring at him, so I think she's taking eyeballs out to help stare at him, or I don't know what it is. So it's not so much about the smile, which is creepy, but it's the eyes that is, I think, the real main concept that the author is trying to kind of put out there for this one, which is why she cut the eyeballs out, etc., etc. But it's I think it kind of like wants to hint at the fact of like there's got to be something supernatural with her, because how else did she get all the way to fucking what's his name's house, and nobody see her, and she's eluding people and just acting really off. So maybe there's
Where's
this.
her car at?
Yeah, that was weird, right? Yeah, her car was gone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Her car was not there. Front door was ajar. I thought we'd see her eye. No, hold on. We drove over this morning just after breakfast. There was no way. Her car wasn't there. Okay, yeah. Yeah,
But
so
then, if you remember, Rebecca said that she didn't show up with her car.
yeah. So what? She just like
So where's her car?
she just parked it in the woods somewhere and was like, "I don't need you anymore." Yeah, right? Like, what the hell?
Or is it actually Lynn?
What do you mean?
Think of it.
If she got replaced. Oh,
Right.
that's an interesting idea. Like maybe she got replaced.
Because if
And
her car's not there, if she left and went somewhere and then got attacked by something, and then that thing took on her form and then showed up there and then started doing these things, it would explain the full change after 6 years. It would also explain why the car's not there, and it would explain her ability to get around and do things in very weird and creepy ways, and how she's able to like catch small animals and things.
he never mentions the car early on either, and it never says that she has a job. So I'm wondering if maybe it is kind of like a oh, that's right, before the bathroom event she was supposed to be gone. She does apparently drive away to a friend's house. That's right. So she drives to a friend's house. And then maybe she just ditches the car at a friend's house, or maybe up until this point, because right before she was doing some creepy shit, but she kind of still had dialogue going on. Like maybe I've just gotten better at it. And then it goes on to and then after the last line of dialogue she ever has was I've just gotten better at it. And then it goes to a few days, felt stupid. She was kind of doing a little bit, but no, next few days I couldn't stop thinking about what she said. But he didn't see her for 2 weeks doing nothing, so he wasn't noticing it, remember? And then she left to go to a friend's house, and he was on the couch, and that's when all of the shit went sideways. So yeah, maybe she was like kind of doing this creepy thing at first, and she was having fun with it, and she was trying to be silly. And then I think she may have gotten like, maybe she got by a fucking Wendigo or a fucking what's it say, Skinwalker.
Walker.
And then ever since then, she has no dialogue. It's just grunts and moans and that little hiccup thing she does. So it's possible that she maybe like went out and like maybe this Skinwalker. I don't know the lore so much. Maybe he can know memories or something like that. So he gets up in there and he's all like, oh, oh, you've been doing this creepy thing? Fan-fucking-tastic. I know who to go kill then. So maybe she's been skinwalkered from there on out. Because the stuff before that is creepy, but she still has dialogue. And that's where, that's the switch. So that's where I'm kind of coming back with, like, I wonder if maybe, she leaves in the car. We don't hear about her car ever again. Maybe something happens out on her drive to her friend's house or whatever. And then she's been skinwalkered, and fucking everything after that is her, because it ramps up fucking tenfold. So this is what, 3 days from the time she jumps in there watching him till he fucking gets to the hotel. It's like 3 or 4 days. So maybe she got and because things fucking went crazy fast.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden she's got all these eyeballs in the fucking closet and shit, and hasn't showered, is now, instead of like, being what I would assume is traditionally normal, because, you would expect your wife or whatever to kind of go and take a shower and whatnot like that. She hasn't touched the shower in days. She's been killing animals nonstop. So that's the catalyst for, I think something got her or fully possessed her in some way, and then it just all went downhill from there.
Sounds like an explanation to me.
Sounds good, man. Again, author Malia Girl 1314, found over on the r/no sleep subreddit. Please give her a like. If she has any more pieces of art or any reading material, send her our way. I'd like to kind of see. This was a creepy one. This one definitely kind of got me going here. Again, our wonderful voice actor Tricomy. You can follow him over at twitch.tv/Tricomy. If you enjoyed the wonderful voice acting or narration of Horror Drunk, myself. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the youtube.com/@horrordrunk channel, which is where you could be watching this now, unless we're on Twitch. Please jump over there. They've got many more stories. There's other stories just like this. We'll be doing a couple more throughout October to kind of have anything else. And of course, if you have any ideas for more stories or any creepy stories that you want to hear us read or narrate out or do like a longer series of, comment down below. Let us know like what you guys want to hear. We want more scary stuff to kind of read out. Like this was a good one. So if you have any more ideas of something creepy or something scary or something that we can kind of really get down with, let us know. I'd appreciate it. But other than that, horror fans, I think this is going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.